Hi folks, and welcome back to the Farming Chefs. In today's episode we're going to do something American, the European way, and I hope it will inspire you. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. It's a holiday that we don't really celebrate, or a day that we don't really celebrate here, but we do a lot of harvesting and we do a lot of Thanksgiving. So we're going to try to do the American style Thanksgiving this year, and I hope that this video will inspire you. We're doing all sorts of things, so we're making a full episode of cooking. Come along and enjoy the ride. Hi folks, we're Sophie and Philippe, two professional chefs and regenerative farmers on a mission to empower people to grow, cook and preserve nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown, delicious food. We bring you how-to recipes, stories that bridge the gap between the land and our plates, sprinkled with a pinch of humor and lots of grit. After a wildfire burned down much of our farm, and with a baby on the way, we're working hard to rebuild our lives. Join us for some honest cooking, regenerative living, and fun farm-to-table courses and retreats. Let's start with the main dish, a delicious pork rollade stuffed with a chestnut and apricot filling. Step number 1, score your chestnuts and soak them for 10 minutes in water before roasting. Step number 2. Roast them on 200 degrees Celsius or 400 Fahrenheit for 20 to 30 minutes, until they are all the way cooked through. Let them cool down before peeling. The skin should come off easy, but some might be a little challenging. In that case, just use a knife. Step number 3. Finely dice and saute the onions. In a generous amount of butter on a medium heat, saute your onions until lightly golden and sweet. While that cools down, let's move on to step number 4, preparing the meat. You will need a pork belly cut into a rectangular size of 25 by 40 centimeters or roughly 10 by 16 inches. Ask your butcher to separate the skin for you. You can make crispy pork crackling with that if you wanted. We put ours in the freezer because we did not have the time. 1 pork belly is enough to make 2 rollades. Just slice the whole in half lengthways. Make sure it's even in its thickness all over and trim the edges to be nice and straight. Keep the trimmings for later when we make the gravy. Step number 5, make the filling. Roughly chop up a handful of apricots and place them in 1 kilogram or 2 pounds of minced meat. 50% pork, 50% beef. Then add in the chestnuts, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of thyme, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, the sauteed onions and 1 whole egg. Mix that meat to combine those flavors and develop the protein strands. Otherwise the filling will become crumbly and fall apart when cutting into the meat. So really get in there, okay? Then place it into the fridge to rest. Alright, so now we're going to make a base layer here of this home-cured bacon. Breakfast bacon is great if you need to purchase it. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that it's nice and entangled in a way that when we roll it, it sticks together. So let me show you that technique. What you want to do is make sure that each strip of bacon overlaps nicely with its neighboring strip. Make sure to leave enough bacon on both ends to have a decent overlap when rolling up the rollade. Next step, let's get our belly flap here laid out in the center. Alright, so as you can see, I'm sort of missing a triangle here. That's fine, we're just going to slice this open a little bit and lay it over so that we can get a nice rectangular, evenly distributed meat area. So, and magic, it's rectangular. Use half of the filling for each roll. Make sure it's evenly thick all over and there are no large air pockets. Then gently roll over the flap and make sure that the bacon strips overlap nicely when you close it. Tightly secure the roll by gently pushing it down on the surface whilst closing the rollade. Alright, we're not done yet. Then, with some cooking string, truss the rollade to keep it holding its shape even better during cooking. This rollade is done. You can either straight up put it in the oven now at 200 degrees Celsius or 400 Fahrenheit until the core center reaches 70 degrees Celsius, or you could place this in the fridge overnight and then cook it the next day. Just make sure to take it out about half an hour before roasting to get it up to temperature a little bit. And then what we'll do is we'll take off the aluminium foil and give it another 5 to 10 minutes on a really blasting heat to crisp up that bacon. Alright, so for this delicious gravy, you're going to be needing some flavor enhancers. The first one is a Portuguese smoked chorizo. If you don't have that, then smoked bacon will also be fine. Next up, we have ourselves some bay leaf. Then some black pepper, of course, to give a little bit of a kick. Then, of course, in every gravy, you need a bit of onion. So I have 1 onion here. If you have to, maybe even better. Spice-wise, we're adding a little bit of paprika powder as well. This is the homemade version. Video if you want to see how to make that up here. Some really good quality honey. Some soy sauce, the organic kind. I like the full salty one, so none of that half salt stuff. And then we have here our pork trimmings, which are from our pork belly that we just made. Next up, we have 120 ml or half a cup of white wine. And then lastly, but not leastly, we have some homemade walnut liqueur called nocciolo. This is from Italy. If you don't have that, Marsala wine also works great. For this gravy, which yields about 300 ml or 1.5 cup, I use 200 grams or 0.44 pounds of pork trimmings, 100 gram or 0.22 grams of smoked chorizo, and I sauteed that in a heavy bottom cast iron pan until nice and browned. Then I added the diced onion and I gave that another 4 minutes until they were golden. Deglaze the pan with your white wine and then add in another half of a cup of nocciolo liqueur. Add 2 bay leaves, 1 teaspoon of paprika powder, and another 1.5 cups of water. Then add in some salt and pepper and let simmer. Alright, so the gravy has been simmering away for about half an hour. The more you simmer, the more flavor you have. So if you have more time, I would say simmer it for longer. Then the next step is to sieve it and then thicken it up. We're going to be thickening it with just some flour and water. And the trick here is that you want to mix those beforehand. You want to make sure the water is cold and you want to add the water into the flour while you're mixing to prevent any lumps from creating. Nobody likes a lumpy gravy. And then we're going to introduce that back into the sifted gravy and whisk it until it thickens. And then you're going to have something that is a thing of beauty. If I didn't know any better, I'd be drinking this by the pint. It smells amazing, it smells very meaty, a little bit smoky, and it's really great with any type of roast. I know that beetroots aren't everyone's favorite, but trust me, this is going to convert even the harshest of critics. We're going to combine them with pomegranate and with some almond slivers, and that is going to bring out all the best of all these ingredients. And the way that we're going to counter that earthiness is by using our secret weapon, balsamic vinegar. All right, let's get cooking. So what we'll need for this recipe are 8 roasted beetroots, peeled and sliced into wedges. Then we have about 2 handfuls of almond slivers. We've got 4 cloves of garlic, a teaspoon of salt. These are 2 small pomegranates, but probably 1 big one would be enough as well. Just the seeds, a handful of chopped parsley, our balsamic, which we're going to use some splashes of, a good olive oil, and a nice honey. So the trick to get all your pomegranate seeds nicely removed is to first make an incision as so. Then you pull off the cap. Then you can see here where all these little veins are, just like the wedges of an orange. And exactly on that vein you make a superficial slit down, and then you can break them open, much like an orange, above your thing. The beautiful flower it opens up. This is also how the tree actually propagates, because when this fruit is ripe it just bursts open on the plant and then all the seeds drop to the floor, and that's how new plants come to be. I used 7 medium-sized beetroots for this dish. I cleaned them well and cut off the leaves at about 3 finger lengths above the root. Wash the stems and leaves and set those aside like a bouquet of flowers. These are great for stir fries, so don't throw them away. Cover them with another baking tray and roast at 200 degrees Celsius or 400 Fahrenheit for 30 to 40 minutes, or until they are all the way cooked through. Peel them and then slice them into wedges. Pour a generous amount of olive oil in your pan, add in your wedges and saute for about 3 minutes. Chop and add in your garlic and then sprinkle on some salt. Saute for another 3 minutes. Pour over 5 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar and give it a good mix. The vinegar should reduce a little to get sticky. Toss it around to cover all sides of the beetroots well. Chop up your parsley and place the beetroots in a mixing bowl. Add in your parsley, pomegranate seeds, and then taste it. Let's get a little taste. A little bit more balsamic. I looked very doubtful when I did that. I was like, this is coming out very generously. A little bit more salt. All right, let's plate this. No honey was required in the end, as the beetroots were already super sweet on their own. Serve and sprinkle with toasted almond slivers and then some more parsley. Voila, ready to eat. Serve lukewarm or at room temperature. Now, since we've already converted all the beetroot skeptics with this vegetable side dish, let's move on to the next one. It's going to be an amazing sauteed cavolo nero, which is palm cabbage dish that is made a little tart and salty with some feta and some tangerine slices, and just to mix in a bit of sweetness, some warm apples. Let's go. Wash the cabbage leaves and remove the leaves from the stems. Keep the stems because we'll be using those later. Chop up your leaves roughly and place them in a bowl. You better like the person that you're eating this next to. You either be making out with them or you both should be eating it. Or you should leave this dish altogether. I recommend the making out part, obviously. First, we're going to crisp up a lot of garlic. In half a cup of olive oil, fry them until the sizzling slows down, indicating most moisture has evaporated. Then immediately remove them from the heat and strain the garlic, saving the oil. Place them on a piece of paper to let them crisp up. Now slice 2 apples into even slices. To get beautiful segments of tangerine, cut off the peel and cut out the segments. This is also called supreming. Remove any pips. And then you're left with these stalks, which we're also going to use. So what we'll do here is we're just going to chop them up in like 1/4 of an inch, a little bit less even, 1/8 of an inch maybe, thickness, 1/2 centimeter. Then, in a generous amount of garlic-infused olive oil, stir-fry the stalks for 2 minutes and add the salt. Then add in the apple and toss the whole around on a high heat for at least 5 minutes. Take this out of the pan and in some more garlic infused olive oil, now fry off the leaves. Add in a little more salt here as well. Make sure the leaves show some blistering, this adds a depth of flavor. Then add the apples and stems back into the mix and mix around well. Then it's time to plate. On a serving platter, scoop your stir-fried cabbage and then sprinkle generously with your crisp garlic. Do the same with your salty feta and drop your tangerine supremes on top. Finish off by grating on some lemon zest. Num num! This is one of those great accompaniments on your table that you can actually make in advance, so you don't need to worry about it. You could make it the day before, just don't add the lemon juice yet. What this will add to your table is a delicious nutty flavor. You can spread it on your brioche or you can dip your potatoes in it. Let's make some almond, parsley and Parmesan dip. You will need to roast 4 large handfuls of almonds until golden brown. Pulse those and place into a mixing bowl. Then pulse 2 large handfuls of Parmesan cheese until a fine crumb. Chop up 2 large handfuls of parsley and add it into the bowl as well. Juice the juice of 1 lemon and add that into 1 1/4 cup of olive oil. Mix all of that into the bowl and reintroduce it into the blender. Pulse a few times to bring it together and add some salt and pepper to season. You could make it slightly less tart by using only half of the lemon juice if you wanted. This garlic, mayonnaise and yogurt dip is going to be tangy and you're gonna want to eat it if you love garlic, and if you have your partner eat it, I suggest you also eat it because everybody will be smelling like garlic. I'm a huge fan, so if you're not into that sort of thing, you could do it without the garlic. I highly don't recommend it. But let's begin. So it's super simple. What you're going to need is just some mayonnaise. I have a homemade one here. Of course, you can check out this video on how to make your homemade mayonnaise if you don't know how to do that. We have ourselves half a cup of cream cheese. I was gonna say whole cup, half a cup. Then we have about 1 large tablespoon of full fat yogurt, 1 handful of chopped parsley, 2 beautiful cloves, 3 for the daredevils out there, 1 for people that are wimps. A little bit of black pepper and some salt. Start by finely chopping up the parsley. Then into half a cup of cream cheese, grate the cloves of garlic, add 2 very heaped spoons of mayonnaise. For some acidity, add 2 smaller spoons of full fat yogurt. Mix the whole and season with salt and pepper. Finally, mix in the chopped parsley. Make this at least a few hours before serving to let the flavors develop. Let's give it a little taste test. I'm going to add a little bit more mayo actually, just to make it a little bit more fatty. You could add a little bit more salt. I'm not going to, but that's a personal preference. A leafy green salad does not need to be boring, and we can make it extra green and extra tasty, believe it or not. This dressing is a secret because any leafy green will be good for this salad. We're going to be using some Lolo Rosso and Lolo Bianco for this salad. And what we're going to enrich it with is some red onion, a little bit of green pepper and a killer salad dressing. So let's get into the dressing because that's really the art of the deal. 1 handful of cashews. half a cup of water, a bit of salt, a bit of black pepper. Then I'm going to strip the leaves, sprig of basil, and another one. I'm going to do the same with some parsley. I'm going to do a generous amount of apple juice, let's say about 5 tablespoons. And 2 times that amount of olive oil. Delish. It's a little tart because we didn't add the honey yet. So now about 1 tablespoon of honey. So this is a lot of dressing. You could also keep this in the fridge, but be sure to take it out in time because it will set a little bit due to the olive oil and the cashews. So if you want to make this in advance, I would recommend it no later or no longer than 1 day before. Otherwise the basil starts to lose its freshness and the color will go slightly less vibrant green. So if you want optimal vibrance and taste, make it right before. This salad dressing goes really well with many different types of lettuce. I like to add whatever I have in season still. And right now we have some red onion and green peppers available. Just coat your leaves very lightly with the dressing and then sprinkle them into a bowl. Make sure to do this in layers, adding the heavy ingredients in between as you go. Decorate with some more cashews on top. Making crispy potatoes is super easy, so much more easy than you think, but unfortunately lots of people don't know the 3 magic tricks. So in this video I'm going to talk you through those 3 tips, starting off with choose the right potato. So what you want is starchy, not waxy, so those are varieties like russet or Yukon Gold. The second golden tip is to parboil them. This means that you're cooking them before you're putting them in the oven. This is going to make it easy because it's going to start to release a little bit of starch and you're then going to shake them vigorously, making them sort of crummy, and that is what's going to crisp up so beautifully in the oven. The final tip, tip number 3, is to use fat that is flavorful on its own. So that could be schmaltz or lard or even tallow if you wish. Animal fats work better here. And by putting it in the oven before you add the potatoes inside. So that means that you're basically releasing those sweet parboiled potatoes in already sizzling hot oil, which will help to crisp it up even more. Shake it. Let's have a look-see. Yeah. One more time. It's the most exercise I've had in years. Et voila! Crispy baked potatoes. It's as simple as that. I'm going to show you how to make mini brioches, and there's a little surprise at the end because we'll tell you what went wrong and how to fix it. Start by weighing out 5.3 ounces or 150 grams of active sourdough starter you fed at least 4 hours before. In a KitchenAid with a dough hook, combine 12.3 ounces or 350 grams of flour, 1.8 ounces or 50 grams of sugar, 0.28 ounces or 8 grams of salt, and 5.3 ounces or 150 grams of active sourdough, plus 4 eggs. Let the machine knead the dough for a good 5 minutes before adding in room temperature butter 1 tablespoon at a time. Mix for at least another 15 minutes until the dough starts to release from the side of the bowl. Now let the dough cool for 12 hours in the fridge. Butter yourself up. Lube yourself up, mateys. Take out the dough from the fridge and divide it into 24 individual small rolls of even weight. Shape them with the palm of your hand, making circular motions, pressing down on the workbench to create some surface tension of the dough. Then place these in the muffin tin that is prepared with butter. Let rise again for another 6 hours in a warm spot covered with greased cling film or a damp tea towel. Make sure it's nice and warm at about 26 Celsius or 79 Fahrenheit. These look so cute. All right, we're gonna bake these for 10 minutes at 375 Fahrenheit or 190 Celsius. And what you're looking for is quite a good rise. These have been out for about 4 hours. So I wanna say that they relaxed and then came up, and I wanna say it's like a 50% rise, but the more rise, the better. And 6 hours is more or less the maximum time you could need for rising. Let's pop them in the oven. Bake in a preheated oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 Celsius for about 10 to 15 minutes until they are all the way cooked through. It's just making me laugh looking at them. All right, what's to say? They better taste good because they came out looking slightly different from what I wanted, to be the truth. They were underproven. I was afraid of this. It's very cold here now, so I should have just let them rise on a hotter temperature for a little longer. I'm sure they're still gonna be great though. So let's just enjoy them and forget about the looks. See this? These two here, they win the beauty prize. And then the other ones, these ones, they look like they were trying to escape. They didn't like the other ones. You see that? They weren't getting along. Get me out of here! We have much to be thankful for. Of course, one of the biggest things is the arrival of our sweet baby boy soon. And we do many of these harvest feasts, so for us this doesn't feel totally out of the ordinary, but we went a little overboard today with some extra sides. And yeah, we're just gonna dig in and enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you like what you saw, just know that there's more videos out there. Check out this cooking series. Or you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you wanna come and cook with us on site, go check out our cooking retreats. I'll leave the link below. See you on the next one, The Farming Chefs. Peace out.